A federal judge in Texas has once again ruled the DACA immigration program is unlawful. The Obama-era program prevents hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children from being deported. It also allows them to work in the U.S. legally. The judge did not order an immediate end to the program. Meanwhile, a migrant housing center for children has reopened in Texas to help support an influx of arrivals there. According to internal government data, more than 13,000 unaccompanied minors were put in custody of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services after crossing the border in the month of August. Joining us now to discuss this is CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez, joining us from our D.C. bureau. Camilo, always great to see you. Tell us what happens now to this migrant to migrant children once they're put into this I guess controversial center.
Good afternoon, Errol. That's right. The Biden administration is reopening this facility, a former work camp in West Texas, to house migrant children who cross the border unaccompanied without their legal guardians or parents. And these children are treated differently under U.S. law than other migrants who are typically released, detained, or deported from the U.S. Under federal law, Errol, Border Patrol officials are required to turn these children over to HHS within 3 days of apprehending them. And the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, is responsible for housing them until they turn 18, until they are of legal age, or until they can be placed with a sponsor who is typically a relative here in the U.S. And the reason that the administration is now reopening this controversial center, Errol, is because there has been a significant increase in the number of unaccompanied children crossing the U.S.-Mexico border in recent weeks. This facility will now be able to house up to 500 migrant teenagers, and those teenagers will remain there until, again, they turn of legal age or until they can be placed with a sponsor.
And Camilo, what's confusing for not just the children, but so many of us who are watching this, is that the DACA program keeps going back and forth from being lawful and unlawful. So how can this judge declare it unlawful but still stop short of terminating it?
Yeah, it really does seem, Errol, that we get a different court ruling on DACA every other year. Federal District Court Judge Andrew Hanen has ruled that a Biden administration effort to codify DACA into a federal regulation was unlawful. Importantly, as you mentioned at the top, he did not order an immediate termination of the program. He kept the policy intact for the nearly 600,000 current recipients who are enrolled in DACA. They can continue to renew those 2-year protections from deportations and work permits for the time being, but the program remains closed to new applicants. And the reason that he did not completely shut down the program, Errol, is because he said he was sympathetic to the plight of dreamers, and he called on Congress to act. Again, it is very important to note, Errol, that only Congress can grant this population and any other immigrant population permanent legal status and a path to U.S. citizenship, but Congress has not passed, as you know, any major immigration law since the 1990s.
And you've spoken to many of these dreamers. We've interviewed them. They're students, they're professionals. They only know the U.S. is their home, and they just want to know where their future will be. Camilo Montoya-Galvez, thanks for speaking with us.
Of course.